welcome to today's episode of the Let's Talk About Love, Sex, and Infidelity podcast with your host, Todd Creager. And I'm Kristen Poborski, and I am so lucky because Todd invited me to do these informal podcast interviews. I think it was back in July,
Yeah.
where we get to discuss meditation and how you can use it for interpersonal and self healing. Our first interview was back in July,
Yep.
and now with this one today, we've got 6 months under our belt. So the last interview we did, and I've got the link to it right below, we talked about breaking through the barriers to deep intimacy, which was episode 114. And again, I've got that link down below for you in the show notes if you want to go listen to it. Today's topic is all about accessing your romantic self. So you're probably all wondering, like, how does meditation help me with that? Well, we're going to dive into that later on, right? But I've got a little quote because Todd never knows what I'm going to be right about or what I'm
No
going to
idea.
say before we come into these things. We were talking about that before we went live. So, Todd, I'm quoting you now. So here's what Todd says about romance. It's about both giving and receiving romance. And you define romance as an uplifting of life's energy. So, in a sense, wherever you are, or whenever you are, uplifting your own energy or your partner's energy, it's romantic. I took that right out of your practice guide.
That's
So I
great.
know you said
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah, that's
So,
it.
and the other thing is that you've always preached this. Romance really requires slowing down and not being distracted by the fast pace of life or
Yes.
your own busy mind. It really asks for you to become appreciative and grateful. And most of all, it asks for you to go deeper to see what you may have missed before at the surface of your life. So, before we kind of dive into meditation and going deeper and all of that, I want to just, for those of you who do not know Todd, and maybe your first time watching him here on YouTube or listening to the podcast, I really want to introduce you and give you his background. Todd is a licensed marriage and family therapist and licensed clinical social worker with 35 plus years of experience helping couples and individuals heal themselves from such crises such as trauma and infidelity and a lot of other things. And you help couples rekindle the passion and aliveness in their relationship. Todd is a firm believer in combining healing modalities into his practice. So he incorporates things such as EMDR, emotional focused therapy, and meditation, which we're going to talk about today. He as a way to promote optimal healing and living for his patients. Todd himself has been practicing meditation for 40 years, right?
Mhm.
And he's personally experienced how it has positively impacted your own personal relationships, your health, and of course, your students in your program and your clients, right? You've seen all kinds of things. And I know in today's episode, you're going to be sharing some of those stories of how meditation has helped other people and maybe your own experience. So let's dive into today's questions so that the audience listening in today can learn more about accessing their romantic selves and how meditation makes this easier, more accessible for them. So, Todd, my first question really is, why do we need to appreciate ourselves as a way to access our romantic selves? Can you kind of explain that? Because we don't always think that way.
Right, right. Appreciating ourselves and its link to our romantic selves. So you said
Hmm.
it really well, Chris. Kristen and I have been working together for a long time now,
Hmm.
and she came into our relationship pretty enlightened herself. It's not like I came along and she had her own stuff, but She's affected me and I've affected her, and I just love the way you talk about it. It's just, it's great. It's great. So I just had to say that. But anyway,
Thank you.
um, you said it when you said slowing down. Slowing down has become maybe the most important phrase I could think of. Even the clients I'm just working with today, at least one couple, slowing down had so much to do with everything we're talking about because most people, they are going too fast to appreciate what they have and what they have to offer and what they are offering. So again, it's this whole idea of giving and receiving. And so we need to slow down to just stop and appreciate who we are and what we have. And when we do that, we're starting to see, hear, feel, experience all the things that are going on right now in our present moment that we may have been missing before. Like you said, when we're living on the surface of life, when people are
Hmm.
living their life on a to-do list, how romantic is that? The last thing, I mean, I could clean my house with my wife in a romantic way. We did this because we had my daughter and her boyfriend coming and sleeping over, and we needed to do a little bit more of a cleaning than we typically do for their sake and ours. But, if we are just doing the task, that's one thing. But while you're doing, if you put on some music and you start at one part of the house and the other part starts at the other part of the house, and then we come together and we start dancing for a minute or two, and then we go back to cleaning. The house cleaning became a romantic experience. And at the same time, not to lose the point of your question, it's appreciating, wow, I have this wonderful daughter and her wonderful boyfriend that's coming over, and we get to have these wonderful moments. And so we're going to clean for that. Do you know
Yeah,
that is not my typical attitude with cleaning? Cleaning to me
I'm
was the
sure
biggest
not.
pain in the ass. I hate it. That's my natural mindset. But when I slow
Yeah.
down to appreciate, well, not necessarily me at that moment, but appreciate what we're going to have happen, what we're going to experience. It was a very different experience of cleaning. Um, in terms of appreciating oneself, it's very important to realize, okay, let me even use the same example. I could appreciate me for, wow, I could be someone that could, number one, help my wife feel good that the house is clean. But number two, kind of appreciate me that when my daughter comes into the bathroom that she'll be using, that there's not a lot of hair. There's no hair running around. It's all been cleaned up, even though I don't have much hair to worry about. But well, you get my point. So
Yes.
I can appreciate me for that too. Like what a good gesture. I'm not saying how great I am. I am appreciating of myself for how I am going to make this an enhanced experience. Just like if we go into a hotel room and the cleaning people make it so they even make that triangle of the toilet paper. I don't do that.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
But it's kind of a nice touch, and they've contributed to my feeling of, wow, this is
Yep.
fresh, this is new. So anyway, that's a
Yep.
very
Yep.
long-winded answer, but
Well, and I think also what you probably want to point out to people is slowing down is removing all the distractions. So it's
yeah,
not slowing down and sitting and looking at your phone. It's being present with that other
present,
person,
right?
right? And that's key also to appreciate ourselves.
Yeah,
Like if we're all busy doing all these things and we're so connected to everything else,
right.
there's no opportunity to slow down and appreciate ourselves. And meditation, as we get into this, we know really gives you that space to do that, right?
Oh yeah, that's the key. We are so conditioned to go fast and to miss things, to just do what we got to do, and to run on fear. the fear of not getting everything done, the fear of not being seen as good enough, all the fears that people go around, fear, the struggle that we don't realize how much we are in a struggle with and resistance to life a lot of times,
Oh yeah.
versus what meditation can do is help you just be and experience a depth inside of you that can truly, um, I'll say it like this, feel the sacredness of the moment.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then when you're feeling the sacredness of the moment, you're not being distracted by everything. You're just really feeling the sacredness of this moment. So our cleaning the house was sacred. I mean, sure, when we go play and we, you know, go on vacation, it's great, but to not to not be waiting for the moment when we're done cleaning, but to 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 feel the sacredness of the moment. Well, meditation is a period of time where you're really doing nothing except experiencing the sacredness of the moment. There's nothing to do.
Yeah.
So that's why it's such a good tool to
Yeah.
help us.
That's great. So, you may have kind of, explained this in your last your example of your cleaning example, but um, I my next question was really how do we then take this, appreciation, the deeper appreciation of ourselves and everything around us, and translate that into romance? How does that, how does
Oh,
it like
well,
someone else that not going to be doing the cleaning, but
yeah, yeah, no,
something
that's
else.
yeah, no, that's a good question, and it requires a different answer. I
Mm.
think that um, when we slow down to appreciate ourselves and appreciate the other person, if we're
Mhm.
talking about one person or appreciate whatever, we we then can put our heart into something. It's like we want to uplift the energy of our partner. If I'm appreciating my partner, I want to uplift her. If I
Mhm.
am, so it's almost like if I'm vibrating about all the things that my wife is frustrating me about and all the things I got to do, and then so I go, well, time out here. Let me think about all the wonderful things that she's done for me, for the children, for her rest of her family, for whatever. And I start to think about that, and I appreciate that. Then there's going to be a natural desire to be romantic in some way, to come up to her, to make her feel good, because I'm tuning in to the frequency of gratitude. And when I tune into the frequency of gratitude, my desire to uplift her, which, as you define, that's the way I define romance.
Yes.
It's going to be real. It's there. It's not fake. It's not forced. It's a natural motivation to uplift her energy. If I'm appreciating me, I'm more inclined to do something nourishing and nurturing and uplifting for me because I'm not being hard on myself at the moment. I have gratitude for myself. So maybe I'll do something for me. I'll give myself the gift of doing something I really like to do. So, yeah.
I think that kind of translates also to into one of the things I've heard you say, or pieces of advice that you give to couples, and that's about seeing your partner in a new light. So when you do that appreciation of them, and even if you appreciate yourself, those good feelings
Hmm.
kind of change the whole energy.
Hmm.
Am I correct? And
Absolutely.
change how you view, when you view yourself in a positive way, it's easier to view everybody else. And if you start looking at your spouse or your partner in a different way, changes how the whole energy, right?
The more I appreciate me and I'm kind to me, the easier it is to be appreciative of you and be kind to you. The more I'm appreciative of you, the more I soften and can be kind to me. It's all wrapped into one. It's all
Yeah.
seamlessly interwoven together.
Yeah.
And
So
meditation, I might be
helps.
stealing your next question. I don't know, but
No, no,
yeah.
no, no,
So
no.
meditation is a period of time where we don't have to do anything. That's what, see, meditation is the time when you do it for 5 minutes, or like I do it for 30 minutes myself. The meditations I do in my meditation for self and interpersonal healing is usually about 20 minutes, more or less, a minute or two. But when we have this segment of time, when the only purpose is to sit still and to resonate with that depth, and um, to not be distracted, to just focus. It's a gift, and it translates into naturally like what how we can be going through life and realizing, oh yeah, huh, I'm actually in the moment here. I'm not always distracted, and of course we get distracted, but sometimes I mean, we need to engage in life and get distracted. But the period of meditation helps us remember, oh, let me appreciate something, myself, what I have, my partner, my friend, my mother, whoever.
Yeah, it gives us, I think, the teaches us, even those of us that have worked on themselves. I feel like meditation gives you a whole nother self-awareness dimension that you don't in a deeper level than, say, traditional therapy does.
Yes, it is. I mean, look, I do a lot of things that aren't meditation, but
Yes.
meditation um, is like it gets you in touch with the source of who you really are, you know,
Yeah.
beyond your mind that is, always thinking and always, so we tend to identify with our mind and we get caught up in it. And through meditation, it gives us an opportunity to notice we're more than our mind, and it gives us the opportunity to be appreciative, to slow down, and to be romantic in this sense of tuning into the potential we have to uplift ourselves and others.
Yeah. It's just a whole different dimension. And that's why, it's such a great additional healing modality, or even just the primary healing modality. And
Mhm,
that's why you recommend it to
mhm.
people. So with that being said, I'm going to just interrupt here for a moment with just to let our viewers and our listeners know more about, because we've been talking about your meditation program for self and interpersonal healing. So I just want to share with people just a little bit about that before we go on with the last couple of questions that we're going to be talking about in today's podcast. But basically, Todd, you designed this program um, for helping people who want to be more open, for couples who want to be more open to more closeness and depth, and decreasing the reactivity, and developing a better relationship with harmony and love. And it's not really, as you always say, it's not about changing yourself,
Right.
meditation, this whole program. It's more about really going inside and becoming more and accessing who you really are, right? And
Mhm.
giving you the access to the parts of yourself that are just more capable of intimacy, more vulnerability, more self-love,
Mhm.
less reactivity, right?
That's reactivity, yes.
Yes. And so I want to share also, because you recently interviewed a couple who's enrolled in your program. And I just love, and I think a lot of people will love hearing this too, because it's not just about, your relationship with your partner, but, and all, and your, self-love and things like that. But Linda said really has helped her not just with her relationship, but everywhere in her life. So, and it's kind of interesting because she said, you don't have to be in a relationship with someone for your program to work. And she says it can help you with your kids, your parents, your friends. It filters out to everywhere in the world. And she says, this is quoting her, I know too, for me, just to be able to take that 20 minutes in your meditation, in Todd's meditation inside the program, and truly rest. It's almost like someone is feeding my soul with good stuff that I can then carry out into the rest of my life. So I
That's
love that, because
yeah.
it really shows that it's not, it just, this, your program helps in so many areas of a person's life, and meditation in general, it has that same effect. And to share more with people, so how Todd's program works is that he handpicks a new theme every single month, and you create a practice guide along with two meditations, and they're usually about 20 minutes long. And so, and it's really all about helping people removing their blocks in their relationships with their partners, becoming a better parent, friend. It has a lot of, applicables, but you've got to like go inside here to access that part of yourself. And that's what this program is all about. And then for those of you who haven't ever tried meditation or have struggled in the past, you also have a special bonus in your program, which I love, where you teach people some meditation relaxation techniques so that people can overcome a lot of blocks that people have to meditation. Because, it's easy to have your mind wander and things like that. And Todd, you teach people how to actually deal with that when it inevitably comes back up, and be able to
Inevitably.
drop back
Yeah.
into that. Yes,
Yeah.
inevitably, drop back into your meditation. And then to top it all off in this program, because each month you have a new theme, you have these mini retreats where you bring everybody together in your community, all the students in your program, and you get together and you meditate as a collective energy. And there is a
Right.
lot of
Online, virtually. Yes, virtually.
online, and
Yeah.
it doesn't matter, you can still get the energy from
Oh,
people,
oh,
what,
totally.
even if you're online, but there is a collective energy that arises from these
Absolutely.
group meditations that really benefit people. And you also give people the opportunity to ask their questions and get coached by you as well during these sessions. So there is a lot packed into this, and it's only $47 a month to join this program, which is such a deal for all of the things that you give people in it. And for those of you that are interested in checking it out, I've got the link in the show notes below. Is there anything else, Todd, that you want to share with the audience about this, fantastic program that you've created?
Well, you did a good job. I could say
Thank
this.
you.
I've had people that are single doing this program and benefiting.
Yep.
Because it does help people in relationships, but it also helps people who will be in a relationship one day, intimate one. And so, some of these people have been in relationships, but they're not in relationships now, and that really helps. And then maybe just mentioning a few of the themes. The month one is all about listening from your depth, and
Yes.
there's two meditations. Each meditation comes from a little bit of a different angle, but it supports the theme of listening from your depth. And then I don't think I have to remember these in order, but there's things like opening your heart to love. There's one theme on that. There's of course one on romance.
Right.
There's
Avoidance, because
there's
people
overcoming
avoid.
avoidance. That's another one. Overcoming avoidance patterns. We avoid things that are challenging. We even some couples avoid pleasure. They avoid things. They avoid what they
Yeah.
got to do. So these meditations and that month of theme are all supportive of helping you discover your deep courage and deep intention to overcome avoidance. So those are some of the themes. There's like I said, one every month, and the practice guide that includes, even for people, there are those couples that are doing it together. There's a special meditation for them. Uh, but again, like I say, you don't have to be in a relationship to get benefits. It's for self and interpersonal healing. And then of course the meditations are in there, and there's bonuses, meditation for beginners, and some of the other bonuses that are
Yeah.
there. The
Yeah.
relaxation
Yeah.
bonus. I think there's at least one or two more, but anyway, yeah.
I can't quite remember at this point, but
There's
yeah,
too
it's
many to
just
remember. Too many to
too
remember.
many to remember. Yeah, there's a lot in there for just $47 a month. So, and for those people that want to try it out, you can always cancel, but it's kind of cool because I know, everybody seems to want to stay in there
Yeah,
for the whole
yeah,
year and
yeah,
beyond,
and
and
beyond.
see what's next. So
Yeah,
again, I've got the link down below in the show notes. Go check it out, and you know join today because you have nothing to lose. Nobody does. I think
no,
meditation is one of the, and I personally meditate, and I it's invaluable tool to have in your toolbox for anything that might be thrown your way,
yeah,
whether it's relationship or interpersonal relationships with people at work or managing stress. I mean, it has a lot of, you know, places that it can be helpful,
yep,
right?
absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
all right. So let's dive back into the next question. How let's go into like the meditation, how meditation really, because I know people want to know, how does meditation help us access this already romantic, deeper part of ourselves? Because I think a lot of us may be afraid,
Hmm.
or maybe that's people are stopped by fear,
Hmm.
or so it's already inside of it. So how does meditation make it easier to access it?
Well, when I talk about my meditations, of course, there's that period of time, let's say 20 minutes, where we can afford to experiment. We're creatures of habit. So when we're in life, our self-protective mechanisms oftentimes take over, and they rob us of our depth, and they also rob us of our ability to be fully taking in what life is right then and there. And
Hmm.
look, and people go through all kinds of pain. I'm not denying. I mean, a person has chronic physical pain, or they have some big heartbreaking issue that happened in their life, some big loss. Those things are real. And meditation isn't something that makes your life always wonderful and pleasurable. It's not its purpose. It's for you to learn how to embrace life as it is in the moment. But it's hard to do all that in regular life because you're just caught up in your stuff and your habits that you learned from your ancestors. It's just what we
Yeah.
do. We're just so programmed. Our brain is programmed. So during this 20 minutes of there's just you, right? Even when you're doing meditation retreats, it's still there's an opportunity, even when you're with a bunch of people, to just be open to this experience of letting go of what not getting caught up so much in your mind. And so it's an opportunity without much risk to experience another part of you that isn't always having an agenda to push. Always, whether it's I'm trying to look good, or I don't want to be hurt, or I got to solve this problem. In meditation, we could stop all that. And of course, I talk to people how when we get caught up, even in meditation, how to come back to the actual meditative stance that you're doing. And because we keep doing that, what naturally happens is, because like you said, it's already there, you start to
Hmm.
experience this part of you that's already there because you have the opportunity to experiment. Because you don't have to fight life or struggle or solve a problem during these 20 minutes. You're just there to meditate. So as you do that, you start to get in touch with another place inside of you that typically you might be missing during everyday life. And in this place that you experience, it's like a vantage point where you can look at life differently. And from this place, when your emotions they're not dominating, doesn't mean you don't have any, but it's not dominating your experience. Your thoughts doesn't mean you don't have any, are not dominating your experience. That you are able to experience life, savor it, savor that moment, savor just you're just meeting the moment, just being there in the moment, just being present. And like I say, this place inside of you isn't just nothing. It's actually filled with all kinds of good stuff. The ability to be loving, trusting, savoring, and it's kind of delicious. And it helps you experience the natural desire to embrace life so that when you come out of meditation, it doesn't just go away, it's with you. And your ability to be romantic, to uplift others or yourself, that was always there, is not anymore, it's not covered up by all the distractions you had before you went into the meditation. And if you meditate on a consistent basis, it just gets easier to access whether you're in meditation or out.
Yep. I think you're right. I know you're right. I think it takes away that, or maybe as I would explain it, is that voice that's always going on inside of us. We know when we're more aware of when that voice is going on inside of us than whether it's saying things that are going to help us or hinder us.
That's right. And so with meditation, you can actually just experience the part of you that is not that voice. There's another
Yeah.
part of you. Even if the voice doesn't totally go away, it definitely quiets down though. Um,
Oh, yeah.
and sometimes goes totally away, but it doesn't matter. Well, in the meditations, it's just meditation is an adventure in itself. And so it's not a boring thing where we're focusing on the way I do it. It's not like we're focusing on our breathing for 20 minutes. It's more of experiencing this part of you with a sense of wonder. So the meditation is romantic in my definition in and of itself.
It's romance to yourself.
It's romance to
It's
yourself.
loving yourself, right?
It is.
Self romance.
And
We can put it that way.
the words can go only so
Self love.
far. And one of the
Yeah.
things we do in this program is I help people get over, because I've had people come to a meditation retreat, they go, I listened for 3 minutes, and they've been in the program for 2 months, right? That happens. So the retreats are good because they kind of get people motivated to do it because they're missing out. It's like being in the best restaurant of the world and then just drinking water. It's like, here you go.
Not having the appetizer and the
Yeah,
salad and all
yeah,
the dessert,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, but that's that. So that's the thing too, is like, people probably, I'm sure, go to um, the mini retreats and they hear other people share their stories and it inspires them. So that
Yes.
really brings me to question number 4. And that's like, and maybe you want to talk about Ty and Linda when you just had an interview with them, but can you give the listeners and the viewers an example of how meditation has helped them access their romantic selves? And I don't know if Ty and Linda talked about that. I know they talked about a lot of stuff with you,
Well,
so
I'll
I'm
talk.
sure you
I
have
mean,
me.
hopefully people get to see their video or hear their
Yeah,
words.
yeah.
But I'll use. I mean, I've done this with many couples where we've used meditation, and these are couples that some of them have had infidelity, some are just broken down communication. They've been disconnected, and whatever the reason is, and we employ meditation, and they practice meditating separately, sometimes together, but actually mostly separately. And what happens is this one couple that's in my mind right now, they were very disconnected. As a matter of fact, she's ready to divorce him. She's like, I don't want to live this way for the rest of my life. You haven't been there, you haven't been present. I need to feel more connection. And he was a guy that was living on the surface of life. He was working hard, he's being a good provider, he's doing all these things, which are important. There no doubt they're important. But as he meditated, he just experienced the benefit of slowing down, and that kind of translated into slowing down with his wife. And so they would slow down and just stop every day for 10 minutes. And I talk about this in other areas, but the meditation trained him. She didn't have as hard a time. She was already doing some meditation, but more so, she had a real desire to connect with her husband,
Mhm.
where he didn't have, like, let's just get a job done and then let's just go, skiing, which is
Next.
great.
Let's go
Yeah,
next, right?
let's
Yeah.
go. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's
Yeah,
the
it's a chore. He thought of it as a chore.
whether it was a chore or even fun fun is great, but to stop together was something he didn't do. So the meditation really helped him begin to experience something other than his active mind, his productive self, that there's a part of us that is production is great, being we have to pay the bills and do better than that even. But there's a part of him he got in touch with that could just be, and he started to just be with his wife, and he became more romantic in a variety of ways. He was better at giving gifts, which is one way of being romantic, but he also would say, let's dance. This I love this because I would tell couples. I never told them
Wow.
to dance. I told other couples to, but they would just start
Uh-huh.
doing dance. They would put on videos and learn how to do salsa dancing together or other kinds of ballroom dancing, and they made it a routine. And he says that it all started when he learned that he's not just a productive self, and that happened with his meditation. And he was able to embrace the romantic part of life. And believe me, he didn't make less money. He didn't get less successful. He became more successful in his relationship, and it may have even helped him his work. Because when you have a happy home life, it's easier to have a happy and productive
You tr-
work life.
you attract, if your energy is positive, you're going to just naturally attract more good into your life. That's
Yeah,
just what's on the inside is what
yeah,
goes on the outside, and
yeah,
meditation really helps that. And I think
yeah,
that's really great, because I bet you that story that you just shared, there's probably plenty of people out here listening that may feel disconnected from their spouse, or their spouse is stuck in the thinking, I need to be this doer,
doer,
you know,
productive,
to doer productive. But
provider.
sometimes, yeah. And when you slow down and do these other things, they enhance your sense of being your life. And
Yes.
that just is an upward spiral. I
Yeah,
mean,
he
I've heard you
said,
say that before.
yeah, it is. And he said, not only is my wife happier with me, but I'm happier with me. I thought life was all about what I thought it was about, and it's not. It's about that, but so much more. Meditation.
Hmm.
That's what
Yeah.
for him, that's what started the whole thing.
I like that, because that really puts a whole different spin on what we've been talking about. And I think people can really relate to that story too, because we think sometimes it's just being, we're just distracted, or we're just like not in the, romantic mood or things like that. But sometimes slowing down and meditating can open up this whole other world,
Yep.
not just the romance, but
Mhm.
all kinds of stuff, and feeling better. And when you feel
Mhm.
better, then, you've got more to give and you want to give, right? And
It's
if you
like
feel
waking
better,
up. It's
then
like,
your
yeah,
spouse does.
yeah, yeah, exactly. What I was going to say is it's like waking up out of a coma or out of a
I
fog.
love that.
Mhm.
I love that. And that's the point too, is like we always say, it takes one person to change. So
Yep.
even if your spouse didn't meditate and you meditated and you did all this stuff, they're
Oh,
naturally
yes.
going to react to your,
Yes.
because you started meditating before your wife did,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
your practice inspired her, and it shifted your relationship, right?
No question. No question. Um, and she does this program that keeps track of the days, and she's up to 120 days in a row, you
Wow.
know. So she has not
Wow.
missed a meditation in 120 days. So she's definitely drank the meditation Kool-Aid, but it's good. And definitely I benefit from her meditation, and she benefits from mine. So, but
Yeah.
it takes
Yeah.
one to get it started, and we shouldn't wait for the other person. We can invite them,
No.
but we can't force them to do it. And sometimes what happens is they see your benefits and then they go, okay, I'm interested. So,
Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, I think that's it for today's
mhm.
episode. Just to remind everybody, we've got the link to Todd's program for interpersonal self and interpersonal healing meditation program. You can join for just $47 a month and start shifting your own self, make yourself feel better, and it will radiate out into all other areas of your life. So if you're interested, go check it out. That link's right down below. Anything else you want to share with everybody listening in today, Todd, before we sign off?
I think I've given as much wisdom as I can. I think I'm done. No, it's good. No, it's
Okay,
good.
that's awesome.
I mean, here's the last thing I want to say. The biggest thing I've seen, the biggest frustration I have is I just tend to see people's potential. It's just a natural gift I have. And when
Hmm.
people don't do the things that they need to do out of habit, and meditation, I think, is a big part of it. It does drive me a little crazy. I can't, it's not for me to control, but I see what people could have, and it's not much time and it's not much money to experiment and see what we're talking about, you and I. Just go
Yeah.
for it. Go for it. See
Yep.
what it is. If it's not for you, you could unsubscribe, even though I don't think you will, but go for it.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is about meditation, it's not an overnight fix. It's got a
No,
cumulative benefit. And it's funny,
absolutely.
you just don't, you practice, 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 and you wake up and you one day and you just realize, oh my gosh, all the things that bothered me before don't bother me anymore. I can approach them with a whole new way of
Hmm.
being, and
Yep.
things don't hold me back. I'm just saying that from my own personal perspective. So it's definitely something that if we could, you and I collectively tell anybody who's listening to this podcast, it's
Absolutely.
uh, something that they should uh, try.
Yep.
They should give it a whirl. You know, 3 months, 6 months, that's not a lot of time in out of a person's life. If 20 minutes a day, um, it's really, it goes by so fast.
Uh, That is for sure.
Exactly. Well, thank you, Todd.
Thank
And
you.
I look forward to our next upcoming podcast. I don't even think we know what we're going to talk about yet, but there'll be another one coming up in another month. So stay tuned. And in the meantime, you've got a lot of content in the Let's Talk About Sex, Love, and Infidelity podcast and on your YouTube channel. I've got the links down below. So you have um, tons and tons of great advice and content for people who want to work on themselves in both areas, your podcast and on your YouTube channel. So that's it for today. Thank you so much, Todd, for your time.
Thank you.
And I'm going to look forward to our next podcast.
Sounds good to me. All right.